Hey, and welcome back. Today's video is going to be a little bit different, a bit of a discussion and just a place to see where HubSpot is, whether it's with its AI versus a lot of the kind of industries out there. There's been really a lot of change in the AI market. You know, you were seeing Elon Musk with Grok 2 being launched, ChatGPT 5 being launched very soon. So we're really excited to see the benchmarks around that. A lot of additions to Gemini and kind of a few major open source projects coming out as well. So uh, they're changing, and the AI environment has been evolving to use different techniques, which we'll talk about in this video. And we'll talk about the HubSpot and kind of where HubSpot AI is fitting into the video. So my name's Scott from HubStart. We focus on helping companies focus on RevOps and where AI fits into that equation. And this is James, the co-founder.
Good morning, everyone.
So we're just going to go through some of these slides. So let me go ahead and share my screen. So the question is HubSpot AI ready? So where is HubSpot currently? So here are some of the customer complaints that I've been hearing, which is HubSpot chatbots are not yielding very good results. HubSpot's content generation is very generic. HubSpot's workflow generator does not work. I mean, that's a pretty bold one, but it's the feedback we're getting. And HubSpot does not have AI vision. And I mean, AI vision, people are struggling to see where the direction of AI is with HubSpot as a client. So it's been a pain point because people are uncertain whether to keep pushing the AI in HubSpot or should they be looking outside of HubSpot. And we'll touch on this one, but I think we're going to have more solutions after inbound. So hopefully we're going to get more of a directions. So, I mean, James, have you heard any other complaints beyond this list?
Yeah, these have been some of the main ones, really. Like I have played with a lot of these tools myself. That workflow generator, like I've tried building complex workflows, even some simple workflows within HubSpot, and it just does not translate into what we're trying to build, and not understanding all the nuances of what needs to be done within the context of the portal. But that was always going to be a hard one. And then just generally across the board, the tools that are there, I mean, they're good aids for people to start using AI if they're beginners of AI. We have clients who they need to get content into their system and they don't have the time to build it. It's useful having that within the HubSpot interface, having that take into account the brand voice you set up within HubSpot. So it is definitely aiding with some of those more time-consuming parts of running and building your CRM. But they are all sort of individual tools in their own right that do little things rather than this whole massive paradigm shift into HubSpot becoming a whole AI driven product. But I mean, inbound is coming up in 2-3 weeks now. So maybe we'll see some exciting things there that really change this.
Great. So let's go into where some of the issues exist for now. HubSpot in general is using a lot of legacy AI, ChatGPT 3 for its AI. So if you're in the research, the benchmarks are really not great compared to version 4 or 4.0 for ChatGPT. And as I said, 5 is coming very soon. So generally, this is an extremely easy fix for HubSpot. And I'm a big advocate that they upgrade or at least let people select the model they're doing. So any benchmarks here have been different. So I'm not quite sure why HubSpot hasn't upgraded yet. And hopefully it's something we're going to see. And that change will make a huge improvement if that does happen. Mentioned HubSpot does not seem to have a plan for the AI. They seem to be using a lot of tools where in the industry we're seeing a lot of paradigm shift between chaining AI models using them as critical reviewers, and not just kind of as simple tools. So as we've already talked, like it's unknown where that's going to go, but as we said, maybe it's a secret for now, and we're just gonna see the future. HubSpot lacks agents or consistent AI metadata about a company, uh, company models, access to system commands, data types, tooling. So um, not sure if this is comes, but ChatGPT and other companies do have that access. So when it comes to things like building custom company models and things like that, you know, don't I would recommend, like, don't hold back from HubSpot. Like, start investing in these other technologies because they're easy to integrate into HubSpot, and it's worth the investment. So right now, HubSpot generally has a brand voice,
Mhm.
but very limited other knowledge bases that is making models for your models for your company, sorry. And a model for your company will be able to generically help you not only in your customer success, answering questions, but it's going to help you do research. It's going to help you do um, uh, produce content. It's going to help you in your sales, your marketing, act as a critical actor as a customer, find faults, work out value propositions that you may not have thought of, and a lot more. So investing your time into that is something that is highly recommended. And if HubSpot does introduce these concepts, the effort won't be lost, because the data that you use for creating something in ChatGPT would be the same you'd use in Gemini, or be the same you use if HubSpot takes it up in HubSpot and everything like that. So worth the investment. And the other good news I say is HubSpot AI will work as needed. And what I mean about that, like, HubSpot is not pitching itself as an AI automation tool. It's pitching its AI as a tool to help you work better. So, as James mentioned, like, it's a tool that allows you to generate content quickly with some assistance, but it's not the finished product. It's just somewhere to get your ideas worked out. And me, from a technical point, I don't know about you, James, but for me, it's a good way to get started. I just list my ideas out in bullet points that I want to communicate. Click that button, generates an email. I read it, and then if it's not really that critical, I just tweak it a little bit and send it. And it's efficient for that kind of use case. How about you? Like, how have you been using the HubSpot AI?
Mostly for those purposes as well. Like, I mean, if I do need to generate some sales email or something very quickly, I'm already in HubSpot. The content remix tools are right there. The brand voice is already in there with some basic inputs about our company and other voices of our brand. So it does give me some decent content that I can use on individual basis. So it is useful in that sense. And obviously everybody needs to really be thinking about AI. So as far as I'm concerned, anything that's going to help people break down that first barrier is a good thing. And what HubSpot has is certainly allowing people to do that.
Great. So I'm going to go over some of these things, recommendations about how to overcome some of these issues. One is called a agent model. So before launching any chatbot or anything that's kind of customer facing, you should, if you were to do development, you create test cases, right? And you would test it and see how things work. Now, the same kind of generally will go with any kind of chatbot, whether it's selling or customer support or just general information to help you. So one of my recommendation is to use a bot to talk to the bot as a critic. This allows you to do a lot of testing on anything you're going to release in the customer success space, or as I said, in any space. So the good thing is that AI is very good at being a critic. It's very good at acting as someone. So it performs like it would with development. It would perform like a artificial customer. It would perform in a way that you can test a lot of your conversations before things actually go live and really see where are we lacking, what is working, and what we need to improve. So, this, as I mentioned, investing into a company model that understands your company in something like ChatGPT, it doesn't matter, it could be other technologies, but it's a good investment because these models will help you um, analyze and critique. So as I said, with the chatbot, it's going to act like a customer. You can tell it to act like a negative customer, a critical customer, a creative thinking, or other customers to see how the interaction is. And the good thing is, like as I mentioned before, excuse me, HubSpot will improve its technology over time. So any investment you make preparing this data, preparing these tests is not going to be a waste. It's going to be something you can keep reusing in the future to check new models, check new products, check new items within your business. So to get the best results in this specific case for chatbots, it's, you know, chatbot versus chatbot, using one system and another system to test each other, talk to each other, and really kind of extract the best results over time. And this is something that can go on forever, but you're going to get to an 80-20 rule where it's delivering a very high solution and it's going to make a certain amount of errors. But over time, you don't have to stop this running. You can keep running the tests, you can keep growing the knowledge base, you can keep refining, so you can start getting into that superhuman stage, like being able to respond better than a human. Any comments there, James?
Um, yeah, could you clarify what you meant by the AI, so the AI tool into the AI? Are you talking about sort of playing two chatbots off of each other potentially to get them to learn from each other, like literally
Exactly.
conversation back and forth? Okay.
Right. So if you're building a knowledge base, or you got your chat flows or whatever, then playing those bots off each other so you can see and you can analyze the results of how
Mhm.
that interactions happen. Um, Especially if it's goal driven, you can also set up your chat gpt. It's like, okay, your objective is to, let's say it's customer support, you can tell it, okay, you have a problem xyz with this software, talk to support, right? And then it can be having that conversation with the support, getting the answers, and that's going to check your chat flows, it's going to check the response, and then you can get the ChatGPT to kind of rate the experience, or at the end report the frustrations it had, right? So
Mm.
the human doesn't need to be there through that process. It can just keep on running these simulations over and over again, and then at the end you can kind of get a report and say, well, we're not doing well in this section, but we're doing well. It does well in this kind of problems or conversations, but doesn't do well in these conversations. So it's gonna save thousands of hours of human time trying to do that manually.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that self-optimization, I was interesting. I was using HubSpot's support chat AI just the other day. And it was the first time that it's been able to give me an actual useful answer um, to something that I've asked that I haven't been able to find by doing research in the background myself, and that's saved me a whole conversation with their support team. So like that, the fact that's getting more advanced and the resources you use to help optimize that without spending hours talking to it, or without waiting for the user base to help optimize that through their own experiences, like that's really powerful. It's going to be
Yeah.
great for support teams and their time and efficiency.
So let's move on. HubSpot content generation is very generic. So let's talk about how that probably works. When you type in your description, it will give you content or an email, which is general and based on what you wrote. So HubSpot is probably using a zero-shot approach, with the system commands not being available to user, describing the brand voice. So What that means is people are generally unaware with ChatGPT. There's two types of commands. There's the user chatting to the bot, and there's something called a system command. The system command is generally more powerful when you want it to explain the output of the email. So system command is not only where you would want to put brand voice, you'd probably want to add in your company values or specific information that you would want to use. So generally a system command is something which is at a company level, and you'd be having a lot of information about the company, and over time system commands on a custom model are extremely powerful because they know a lot about the ins and outs of your business, but the system command is going to say how to write an email with what voice, the level of aggression, the type of CTA it should use if there's variance on the CTA, and when to use that, and how to structure the email. So that's something that the users in HubSpot don't have access to. So it's making your content only based on a small amount of information, just brand voice and zero shot. So let's talk about zero shot. What does zero shot mean? Let's say you're writing a very important email, the old fashioned way. I would write the email and I would write it and I do it the best. And then I send it to a coworker and I say, hey, coworker, read this email. I'm writing it for this customer. It's important for XYZ reason. Can you please give me the feedback and what your comments are? So, my coworker would read it. They'll send back a whole bunch of comments, and I would take those comments and I update my email. If I'm still not sure, I'm going to keep repeating this process over and over again, right? That's how you would be doing a very important marketing or sales email. But zero shot is kind of like the idea of just I write the email, but I never ask for feedback. And that's how HubSpot is working. We're not having anyone giving a chance to review it. So the first email that I wrote, that before I sent to my coworker, it could have been pretty good, but my coworker might have mentioned some critical things that I missed out. So expect the same from HubSpot. HubSpot is using a zero shot. So all it's going to do is write something general around what you mentioned in your description. It's not critically reviewing the content that you have in there. So let's talk about my recommendations first. So zero shot approach is okay. I'm definitely not saying it's not okay, but like any content, you probably want it reviewed. So if this is content that you would have got reviewed before, you should still get it reviewed. So I recommend you can use HubSpot, you can get it to generate the content, but then take out the content and place it into a different tool, Copilot or ChatBT, and then ask it the review questions that you would ask a colleague. So ask it, hey, please critical review. I'm writing an email for this reason. I'm trying to get this call to action. I'm writing it for a CEO or a marketing company or whatever the target audience is. Please provide critical feedback and ask the model to give that feedback first. So, it could be within any tool, but it's going to give you that critical feedback. So you read the critical feedback, you say, yes, this is good critical feedback, this is bad critical feedback, copy and paste it, and then you ask the AI to rewrite the content and repeat the process with different reviewers. So if I'm writing content for a website, I might say, write me one about AI and RevOps. Okay, it writes something generic. Then I say, rewrite, review this as a marketing or salesperson. What is their critical comments going to be in their arguments? Okay, I get their arguments. Then I say, rewrite this content to address these arguments. Boom. It's going to add these extra arguments into the discussion. Then I say, okay, review this as if you're my SEO team and I need to focus on trending words right now. So it's going to come back. It's going to do the same. It's going to give me those critical reviews I'm going to take those reviews and I'm going to feed it back and tell the AI to update my content. So like you would with physical people, you want to use AI to be a reviewer, and it can rewrite that content for you. So that's the beauty. It's not zero shot anymore. You're not just hoping for the best content the first time you write it. You're writing content, either email or other web blog content or a script, but you're getting different people to review it from different perspective to continually optimize. So this is really important if you want the really good content. So it's worth the investment, but it's still very efficient process. It gives you a lot of ideas and how you can do it. So
Are
the
there any
last,
particular software, Scott, that you'd recommend to do the critiquing, or where to start in a loop, or could you just literally use any of them in any combination?
so that's a good question. It's really depending on the content you're writing. Um, Single models like ChatGPT will work extremely well. Like we're seeing just using ChatGPT with ChatGPT on a zero shot approach. It's less with more like puzzles and problems that can be scored. We're seeing results that are twice as high. But if you need like even higher results, it's good to use a mixture of different models. I personally, like, for quick things, I use Copilot. For other things, I use ChatGPT. So if you want to kind of get a result that's like superhuman, let's say you wanted like a really, really strong prospecting email, then you probably want to start out with ChatGPT, get a good result, and then flip it over to Copilot or Gemini or something else to get a different perspective, because the models are going to have slightly different bias. So the idea is that the more models you use, you're going to get smaller incremental changes, but that's when you're going to get like very, very good results, because you're starting to spread it out. So think of like ChatGPT is going to reduce general content of zero shot is about 40% quality, just saying in general. You use ChatGPT a lot more, you're going to get up to 80% quality. If you want to get up to that 90, 95%, then you're going to need to use different AI models to really push it right up. So it's cyclic, right? You're going to be asking ChatGPT, act as this person, act as SEO, then act as the customer, then act as SEO or marketing, whatever. But once you're really happy with that result and ChatGPT doesn't seem to be improving, then that's the time you can start getting other models involved, and that's going to give you a different result again. So it's going to be quite interesting. So it just depends on how much time you have and how good of quality content that you need to get. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it definitely does. It's funny, like when in HubSpot, it literally is as close to zero shot as it could be. Like there is a button in there where you can regenerate the content if it doesn't give you what you want, but I didn't see anything for inputting what actually the issue is. It's just like, have another go. No, that's still bad. Have another go.
Right.
So at least with ChatGPT and the other tools, you can have more of a conversation with them. I mean, it kind of relates in my mind a bit to sitting in a team with multiple team members of their own perspectives, all giving their own feedback and their own ideas. The AI essentially doing the same thing, just on a much larger scale.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's how it should be done. And we'll talk about how to automate some of that later on, and where the industry seems to be heading as well with that kind of technology. What's my last one? Recommendation 2, using the email, content, chats, websites. Um, so the recommendation 2, which is something that I do recommend, is you can get all the content that you have from your sales and marketing, and creating a custom, and I go back to this, creating a custom ChatGPT model that's really aware a lot of your business. So this is extremely useful if your business is in a very niche market. Maybe it's in a manufacturing market, or you have very specific financial products, and there's so much specific information to your business only, that's not really generally in the market, then even acting as a critical reviewer is not going to be enough, because it's not going to know enough about your business. Then that would go into recommendation to, putting the effort to create when you create a custom model, there's no coding involved, there's no logic involved. It's just taking the content about your business and feeding it into ChatGPT. It could be another model, and then it can create a lot of awareness about your specific business. And this is going to help a lot as well. So the more specific details you have, the more you're likely to need a company-based ChatGPT model. And you can still repeat from recommendation one, like you can still go through that process, but at least the chances are when you generate content that it's seen all the data from your company, and it's likely to create something that's very specific to your company. Any comments there?
I mean, yeah, it's definitely a lot better context than what you're getting in HubSpot. Because yes, in the brand voice tool, you do pull in that content and it does process that content, but it's purely to give tags around the voice, or the way that your writing style of it essentially is of your company, like whether your content is bold or if it's playful, things like that. So it's kind of a bit, it's very structured. It's very boxy, a bit like buyer personas. It's just putting everybody into these little categories and not really looking at like the real meaning behind all that detail in a more profound way, which this certainly can. And that's just going to get you a lot better personalized content that really speaks to the message you're trying to speak to.
Right. And what I like about the building custom company models is it's also, in some way, it's going to encapsulate all your brand values that have been reflected by your sales team, your marketing team, well, even your customer success team. Basically, anyone inside your team and how they communicate will be encapsulated in that. So you don't need to worry so much about brand voice and things like that when you're making these custom models. I mean, it doesn't necessarily hurt to say, talk with authoritative, talk in positives, talk in scientific terms, whatever you want, but it's going to encapsulate that anyway within the customization. So, HubSpot's brand voice is pretty limited in the way it categorizes things. So here you kind of categorize things in a way that's more, it goes beyond the just brand voice. It could even come down to how you do your CTAs, and how it kind of structures an email based on how it's seen things in the past. So it's, as I said, the more niche you are, definitely the more investment, or like the more specific details you are, the more you're going to have to go towards recommendation two. But recommendation one is still very valid approach and should be still used if you have a custom model. HubSpot workflow generator doesn't work. Okay, so this one is a tricky one. So it seems to work through a basic topic matching, and it seems many people have not got it to work. Okay, so that is what it is. So what you're probably looking at is you're probably going to want to get it to work is you're going to probably want to use agentic, which I'll get into a little more, or ChatGPT or similar, to create a workflow structure for you starting around your objectives. So you're not necessarily wanting it to, it's not that hard to build a workflow. So generally you have a workflow which is going to have an objective, and you're looking for recommendations about the best workflow to create, more than just create a workflow that sends an email to XYZ, blah, 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 blah. So you probably want it to say, I want to get the best sales email flow based on this company, and I want to make sure that we're working in a very short timeline, and the tools that we have are email, SMS, and let's say WhatsApp. You know, plus if something goes wrong, we want salespeople to be able to get on the phone and react very quickly. So you're starting to give it the like what you want to achieve through it. And then the same as I'm going back to recommendation one, you probably wanted to say, start adding in the based on customer personality, the function, the goals to start generating your workflow, and using the same process, you probably want it to critically review, act as difficult customers, and actually builds a workflow that's quite complicated for you. So with ChatGPT, you can get it to structure the output. You can make it into tables. You can make it into lists. You can even make it into BPMN, which we have another video on, which is our workflow language. So once you're generally happy with that strategy, you can get GPT to write the instructions step by step with the name of the functions, what it will do, and the output. So ChatGPT is going to put a lot more effort into breaking down that workflow into extremely detailed steps, and try to dumb it down as much as possible for HubSpot's workflow generator to actually work. So although the first time you do this, it might take a bit of effort, but as I said, this kind of strategy and the information you put into it is going to be able to reuse. You know, you're going to get into the idea that you're wanting the AI to achieve an objective rather than, and how to optimize it rather than just making a workflow. So, you know, getting it, yeah.
That's a really interesting point, because when I was trying it before, like I wasn't thinking about my objective at all. Like I had a very specific need, and I was using the names of the different actions within the workflows tool to try and be as explicit as possible. I think it was something like, please create me a workflow triggered by X, Y, and Z, where we have branches on a value equals workflow for all the different drop-down options in package status, and for on each branch add a node to create a session record, and something like numerically increment the session number property on each of the records you create on each of the branches. And it had no idea what to do whatsoever with that. So I guess that's just not the way to approach this.
Right. And I feel like the worst case scenario, even if you're trying to get ChatGPT to rationalize, think, argue with you, disagree and agree. So you're basically trying to get it to achieve that objective, really break it down as dumb as possible for HubSpot to be able to generate. But even worst case scenario, like HubSpot cannot really generate that workflow for you, but at least the workflow that's kind of you designed is going to probably outperform just rushing and doing a workflow because it's really objective focused.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, that's what you're trying to do with all the content. So I suppose why wouldn't you do that for some of these other tools in the same way? If you want to try and get the best practice, we don't always have the best way to do it, even if we think we do.
Yeah. Yeah, and you got to understand, like ChatGPT's general knowledge or any of these other AI tools is that it's read about best practices in workflow, best practice in escalation. It understands models like T growth, or what is the one with the green belt, like continual improvement models and other kind of models. So it understands these things already. So it's that encapsulated knowledge is there, and it's about getting ChatGPT to work for you, being the critic. So that's really where the power is for these workflows. All right, HubSpot doesn't have an AI vision. So let's talk about this one, because obviously this is generally a big decision. So the reality is HubSpot is unlikely to keep up with ChatGPT, Google, Microsoft, Grok, which is Elon Musk, Twitter, because it's not designed to do that. It's not designed. It's a CRM. It's your source of knowledge. It's your source of analytics and being able to make choices, but it's not an AI tool. It's a tool that uses AI, and that's very, very different. And HubSpot's massively behind where these other companies are. Like even though Grok 2 has come out more recent, Grok 1 and Grok 2, and Elon Musk, but Elon Musk has finances and resources which HubSpot is unlikely to achieve because they're still trying to build a CRM where these other guys are building AI tools. So I think it's very important that whatever vision might come up is that we need to be thinking about how to use AI tools in the right way. And I think, preparing for the tools outside of HubSpot is going to give you a lot more power than trying to. If you're ready for the advanced AI, then you need to be looking outside of HubSpot. If you're wanting to use it as a quick idea, quick content generator, quick starting point, then keep it in HubSpot because that's where HubSpot is. Chaining models, so like the whole industry is moving towards a few different paradigms, but things that we're seeing is chaining models together. So when I talked about reviewing, we can start looking about how different models can achieve different things. So, maybe in the future there will be a specific ChatGPT model. Well, there is already on SEO and other things. So it's about using the different models to start working with each other to get real results like you would with humans. So review or think tanks, whatever you want to call them, that's just a reality. Agent frameworks. So this is really getting into connecting the dots and having the overall vision and information about your company kind of work through multiple different agents. And I'll get into some of these paradigms later. Using unstructured data is going to be critical in the market, sales, and customer success. So we see some effort with HubSpot in the summarization space, which is good because these AI tools are good as acting as kind of critical thinkers. But we haven't seen any effort on using the unstructured data in a specific way. So it's not really, it's definitely more human focused than AI focused in the way they're analyzing their data. Business models, GTM strategies are going to change and become more personal. So, HubSpot itself, you've seen a focus on operation hubs, the API, the integration, almost no code kind of basis. And that's a good thing. That means that, AI is going to impact all these other areas, but we still need our CRM. We still need our source of truth. So we need to see that that's not what HubSpot is trying to do, but other technologies are. So I think wait, there's more. As I said, AI tools in HubSpot, they're designed for simple, fast tools and work with very basic use cases. HubSpot is a CRM, which it does best. It's not an AI framework as such. So, that's where HubSpot is at the moment. You got any comments there, James?
No, that's perfectly true. It's definitely a CRM first, and the beauty really of HubSpot is the fact that it allows you to do so many things all within one single platform, and it's highly integratable with other tools. So it can sit in the center of everything, and everyone can function in a consistent way on one platform and have access to all these things. Of course, we do need these other advanced technologies to push that further in all these different ways. But having HubSpot in the center of that, that it is going to play well with those other tools, and you'll be able to build your whole web and tech stack around that quite easily.
So, okay, I got some recommendations based on where HubSpot is today. Invest in your company model. Get AI to know who your company is. I think this is a really important starting point that, even as AI evolves and improves, like those those models that you create about your company, they're going to give you the ability to review critical actors, training, content generation. They're going to feed a lot, and these aren't necessarily that easy. They're not hard to make, but they're not necessarily easy to make. But getting them to know your company is going to give you a lot of benefit from day one. So invest in agent and intelligent agents. So agentic, and I believe that's going to be our next slides. Get them to know who you are, how your customer support works, product content, information flows, and workflows. So agentic flows go into the idea of critical reviews, multiple agents, and treat AI like you treat humans. Get different teams set up, get them to have different purposes, to be able to review content, to be able to review information, criticize workflows, criticize different aspects of your business, because that's how you get ultimate results from AI, is by using them in a way that chains together and critiques and critiques and critiques until you get a solution that's considered good. Capture data for AI. So this is another recommendation. So something where HubSpot has not really done well, neither has any product, is capturing both structured data and unstructured data. So technology wise, we have things for clustering, grouping data, identifying customer problems, and doing other things. So right now, make sure that you're capturing data which you may not have been able to use. So for example, if you got a lost sale, you can just write a description now. In the past, you kind of had to categorize it, but now you can just write a description. Now, once you got a certain amount, you can pass the AI to convert that unstructured data into meaningful structured data that you can act upon. Like, hey, you're losing 60% of your sales because of this reason. So even though people might have expressed it differently, it's able to analyze and consolidate data, which it couldn't do before. So let humans start writing. Let humans, doesn't mean you shouldn't use categories, but also use the unstructured data. Allow people to explain themselves, because before this was a time-consuming task to analyze that unstructured data. Now it's going to be a quick task, and it's going to give you a lot more insights moving forwards. Prepare for the future. So AI is already replacing workflow engines in some companies, information engines. So when we talk about being prepared for the future, it is that AI needs curators. Like, AI needs people to guide it. So the more you understand that, hey, maybe we're not going to replace our workflow engine, maybe we are, maybe it's going to be better for information engine. It's about knowing how this technology works, keeping up with the industry. And luckily, most of the AI we're talking about here doesn't require coding skills, really. It doesn't involve understanding how neural networks or back propagation works or long-term, short-term models work. No, it doesn't require any of that technology. It understands about how you apply information and how you critically think about information and how you can be the driver of the AI, how you can curate content like you're a boss giving instructions to someone else. And these different frameworks that are coming out and different technologies is going to mean this is more and more important. So when I say preparing for that, I mean get to know the industry, get to know how that information works, get to know the difference between zero shot and agentic information, or work with people like us to help you navigate that space in the future. So the other thing is ensure you have orchestration and KPI in place. AI needs frameworks. So that is very important, just because AI is about optimizing a strategy. So you need to understand how information flows in your business, how you measure your flow, so you can optimize it. So these are my top recommendations. Do you have any others there, James?
No, I think that pretty much covers it.
All right. So I just want to kind of fall into some of this technology, like how we're using agents with HubSpot. So we're generally talking about intelligence versus non-intelligent agents. Um, definitely looking outside of HubSpot, analyzing how competitors are working, how people's networks and how their relationships are influencing them, and how individual customer behavior. So before AI, we could do this, but it was more difficult. Now with these new models, we can really take this unstructured data, and we can convert it and work with HubSpot to do things. So we're heavily using event-driven methodology to work out, what to sell, when to sell to different companies. So the other type of agent frameworks, which I've talked about, is which is making a huge impact on the industry, which is not handled by HubSpot, is reflection, tool usage, planning, and multiple agents. So I'm going to go through this pretty quickly. Sorry about the spelling mistake there, but reflection is about critical thinking. So, you tell it to write a cold email about a service, it writes something, then you say check for style correctness and a sense of urgency. It's going to improve the email, and then you're going to ask the bot again from that feedback it's given you to improve. So that's the first model we talked about, is cycling through different critical actors and allowing it to improve content over and over again. So you can think of that like unit testing, or that's something you're doing in development, or as I said, different departments within an organization. Tool usage is really interesting. So an example, I'll just go through an example. Let's say that you ask the AI to write a quote for someone, and you've given it the ability to calculate quotes based on the information provided. So you have a quote system, you have your AI, but now you can connect your AI to your quote system. So you can tell the AI, if you ever see these variables, push it to this system to get a cost of what it's going to be for the customer. So now AI can use tools or APIs which it couldn't use before. So those tools have a very specific purpose. Look up a product, look up a cost, tell me the variance, send an SMS, send an email, create a quote. So tool usage is something that's making a huge impact, and is not something that's accessible in HubSpot right now. Planning agents. So this is basically doing something like from the above, but creating a sequence of activities to do something. So let's say you have different bots which can do things like psychometrics. So there's models out there which can read information from an email. It can analyze the psychometrics, but it's not ChatGPT. It's a different model. So you're basically saying, this model do psychometric analysis, pass it back to something else, find the associated topic, forecast the chance of likelihood of buying, and then generate the message. So this is a way of customizing and really refining your information about your prospects. But it can be anything. So it's any kind of sequence, where it could be vision recognition, it could be other models about I can't think of any psychometrics or background of company or deep research bots or whatever it is, to be able to chain them together. Multi-agent is an interesting concept. So unlike planning and refinement, multi-agent is pretending you have different teams. Let's say a product team, a sales team, and marketing team, which have different objectives here. And this would be, say, write me content strategy about a new product. And basically, these agents all talk to each other. They keep talking to each other, keep talking, until you have a top agent which says, I'm happy with that result. So this is a very interesting concept of iterating over and over information without any human. So this is really kind of an optimization problem, which can be fit into different strategies for business, but it's a great way to perform like deep research with different parties which have different objectives to come with the best solution for meeting all the objectives of all teams. So you can actually download multi-agents. You can check out ChatDev, which is using this technology already for some technology for coding, but you can also apply it to sales and marketing and customer success. So that's it, all I have today. James, anything you want to add there?
No, just really like it's fascinating the kind of use cases that you can have from this and how far you can go, the efficiencies you can get, like the functions that used to take hours and hours of time optimizing within a team that you can now do using AI. The possibilities of what you can do really are endless, and I know I know we've spoken about the limitations of HubSpot, but as I said, it is just to get you, it is getting you through the door. It's going to help you get used to these things. And if you use HubSpot, what HubSpot has in collaboration with some of the other tools that we've introduced today, you can start really testing and seeing how this works in the real world and what you can get out of this. And there's obviously a lot that you can really get from the potential of this. But if you want to talk more about how to go beyond HubSpot and try and get some really more complex and interesting ideas and methodologies in place within your process, like the ones that we've gone over today, then by all means reach out to us. It's really what one of our main focuses as a team. So for example, if you want us to help you build a process in your system for using a workflow to research and then to generate content, optimize content, and then send that out through an automation. That's all stuff that we can build in HubSpot with the other tools and using the Ops Hub features. So anything like that, we absolutely can help you with that, or just for a strategic discussion, we can do that as well.
Awesome. Yep. So that's all we have today. And if you like this content, please like and subscribe. And if you're a HubSpot user and just thinking about it, get in contact with us and let's have a conversation about your thoughts, your ideas, and your vision. But thank you, and let's catch you in the next video.
See you soon. Bye.